agenda?
It made a lot of sense.
There is a sign-in sheet if anybody would like to address the board. A regular meeting of the Delta County Commissioners is being held this date pursuant to the following call. In a letter to the Commissioners dated April 16, 2016, and reading as follows. The Honorable Members of the Delta County Board of Commissioners, dear Commissioners, a regular meeting of the Delta County Board of Commissioners is scheduled for Tuesday, April 21, 2026 at 5:15 p.m. in the boardroom of the Delta County Service Center. Sincerely yours, Nancy Presrocki, Delta County Clerk. Please rise for a word of prayer. As we begin this meeting, we thank you for our many blessings. We ask for your guidance to help our commissioners make decisions in the best interest of the citizens that they serve. And Lord, we pray for the safety of our military men and women and our first responders. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Commissioner Milner?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Williams?
Here.
Commissioner Van Genhoven?
Here.
And Commissioner Jensen.
Here.
Wow.
Okay, thank you everyone for showing up. We'll get right into it. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting, county board minutes on 4/14/26. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 6, approval of the agenda.
I would move that we approve the agenda as presented.
May I ask a question? If we are going to go into closed session for item number 7, could we move that, or is that the one? Yeah. Could we move that to the end? Just in case folks wanted to leave.
Do you want to move it after general public comment to give the public a chance?
Yeah, that would be fine too. Just to give people an opportunity if
Okay.
they wanted to not have to sit through.
I'll amend my motion then.
I do have a question. If we were to move it after general public comment, and then something happens with item number 7, then the public's not going to be able to get a chance to speak about it.
It's true.
I'd
So
be fine either way, leave it as number,
12.
I guess make it a
12.
number 11, or, yeah, that would be fine too.
Okay,
Will you amend your motion
I
again?
will amend my motion again.
okay. So we're going to move number 7 down below number 11, but before general public comment.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Can I get support? Support. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Okay, number 7, presentation of written communication received and forwarded. There was none. Reports of standing statutory special committees and others is none. Number 9, public comment on agenda items. Public comment on agenda items. Anybody? Chris, anybody on the phone?
No.
Go ahead, Rory.
Oh,
Couple quick things. On the Headley rollback, which I know you guys are going to discuss tonight, and like I said at the last meeting, I'm sure you're going to send it to the public. But also, as you guys get these positions, you definitely have a due diligence, and we'll have some time with that, because it's going to be moved to either August or November, to weigh in and find out what actually could be cut that isn't devastating within the county. So I haven't really heard anything like that. I know it was mentioned, but nothing much there. What I'd like to talk about is the parks and campground policies and regulations. As you well know, I've attended every one of the Parks and Rec Commission meetings, and sometimes when we hear things there and we get here, I think this board, and I brought it up 4 or 5 times, has to make a decision. Is the Parks and Rec Board a commission that makes its own decisions, approves things except for budget items or in fund balance approval? If that's the case, then I don't know why it's here. But regardless of why it's here, is that this Parks and Rec policy thing is actually 13 pages. This has never been presented as this at the commission. I want to make, the other commission, Parks and Rec. So I want to make sure, this is the first time we're seeing this. There was abbreviations, there was some amendments, but this has never been out. So I would recommend, and what it here, it asks for adoption in the little agenda part things. So what I would recommend to you, you can do what you want, that you put it out to at least your next meeting, whether you approve it or you don't, or 30 days. So the public can take a look at this and go through it and make sure, because the April meeting for the Park and Rec was canceled, and that moved it to May. So there was a lot of people going there. And obviously, this is what it was on. So we're out to see it bypassed. And one last thing was brought to my attention this afternoon. Under number 2, so it's actually on the agenda, prayer. I guess on May 17th, the President of the United States is asking for all the nation to go to the courthouse and pray on the steps. And my understanding, the pastor who got contacted for that was told no, because it's in a policy. I don't know what policy. I've never seen it. I don't know if you guys have. But we looked it up. We spent a little bit of time this afternoon. And a prayer meeting can generally be held on Michigan County Courthouse steps on a Sunday as protected as private religious speech and assembly of the public forum. The courthouse exterior is considered a public forum, so basically it's the people's steps. But you can do things when the courthouse is open because you don't want 100, 200 people sitting there denying access. So as far as I can see, that's the only denial this county can do. And so hopefully that gets changed. Thank you.
Bob Barron, follow-up with what Rory just read and talked about. It's actually, it's not the president that's actually doing it, just a slight tweak here. The President Trump has opened up the White House lawn for people to come in and pray on that date of the 17th, that afternoon, that Sunday. And this is something that started in the pastoral area across the country. One pastor in Michigan and has contacted one pastor in each of the 83 counties. The courthouse steps are the people's steps. And so that there's a prayer session. This is all part of the celebration of the 250 years of the independence of this country. And this country was built on prayer. It's prospered under prayer, and prayer is essential for its continuation in the future. So the pastor that was contacted, I am told that they couldn't do that. I think should be recontacted and gladly welcome to do it. Thank you. Any other public comment? Any other public comment on agenda items? Seeing none, we will continue on to committee reports.
Thank you.
Minister.
Just a couple quick things. I just wanted to update the board from the last meeting that the deficit elimination plan was sent to the Department of Treasury and it was accepted. So that has gone through and that has been taken care of. The MMRMA has reached out to me that their Board of Directors position for their UP representative is retiring off the board at the end of 2025. So Chris Katona with our insurance carrier with MMRMA reached out to me, asked if anybody on the board would be interested in applying for that seat, said that UP representation is very critical on that. So if any commissioners are interested, they can let me know and I can help with that. Also, our opioid task force gathering is coming up next Friday, May 1st, at the ISD. We so far have received 26 RSVPs for attendance, and I will be working with MAC to make sure that that is all coordinated, but we still are welcoming registrations if there's counties that are wanting to attend that session. And then lastly, just a couple quick calendar of events. We have BayCon coming up May 1st and 2nd. That's a big gathering at Bay College. It's the 5th year, I believe, that they're having it, and they've extended it to 2 days because of attendance and ideas that they wanted to put into it. We also have the Escanaba Public Library Bookmobile, which is going to be at the Rock Senior Center at 1 p.m. on April 29th. And then on May 3rd, the Victory Cruise Line will have its first docking of the ships for the summer session and the fall session here in Escanaba. Thank you.
I got a motion to put the administrator's report on file.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 2, finance minutes of 4/16/26.
So Commissioner Williams and myself met on 4/16/26. Items that actually went through the finance policies, which you will see on, what was the item here? I just lost it. Item
5.
number 5 on your agenda. We'll discuss in more detail there. The other items is number 1 under unfinished business with the Headley rollback. And then the last one, which we just recently moved until after item 11 for the airport management salary reallocation.
Okay. Can I get a motion to put the finance minutes on?
So moved.
Support.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 3, departmental updates. Any department heads? Seeing none? We move on to unfinished business. Number 1 is the Headley rollback.
So based on our conversation in the short timeline, if that was to be on the August ballot, the Finance Committee actually looked at pushing that back more to be able to gather additional information and additional input from the public. I would move at this time that we defer further conversation on it until the June 2nd meeting.
And then in that regard, it would be, if it were to be on the ballot, it would be the November ballot, not August.
Correct.
And that motion I would support.
Okay. Any discussion?
Yeah, but just one quick question. Do we know, do our chances increase one way or the other, like a November versus in August?
The only thing I would say is that you have more representation in November than you do in August, which
Okay.
would make me feel much more comfortable.
Sure.
There's far more people going to the ballot in November,
Okay.
or going to the polls in November.
Favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 2, utility easement for fairgrounds, DTE. We had DTE discuss some stuff last week.
Move to approve.
Support.
Any discussion?
I would just make a mention that the requested change in the easement language was made, and then also we were provided a map to show the easement. We were provided just the language of the easement, but we now have a map. And I spoke with the representative from DTE and verified that the map, the easement actually moves between two buildings along the fence line and does not have a jog in which it, goes around a building. So even though the map is a little, the previous map showed a jog, that does not exist, and it goes along the fence line.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 3, the 2026 equalization report.
Good evening. I want to thank you for allowing me, pushing this back a week so that I could be present to present. So I appreciate you accommodating me for that. I didn't want to come up earlier in the month with all the snow you had up here. Did not want to come up. So you'll see in the memo that I had presented with the 4024 being the equalization report, you'll see we had an overall increase of 6% in our assessed values. We had no equalization factors, so our state equalized values are the same as the assessed. Now, granted, this 6% increase doesn't equate to anything in tax dollars at this point. We'll be working on that report next, so you have an idea of what increase we did have. The time that the assessed value is the same as the taxable is when there's uncappings and transfers of ownership. But this is a report that I would like to ask the board to adopt so that I could submit to the state for approval.
Move to adopt.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll move on to new business, payment of bills.
I've examined all claims presented and recommend payment of the following, and that the county clerk be directed to issue orders on the county treasurer to the claimants for the amounts allowed. We have grand total of bills of $505,670.68. Commissioner expenses of $828.04.
I would move that we pay our bills.
Support.
Can I get a roll call, please?
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams?
Yes.
Van Genhoven?
Yes.
Jensen?
Yes.
And Melner?
Yes. Okay, bills are paid. Number 2, Delta Area Transit Authority millage proposal. John?
Thank you. So for those that don't know me, my name's John Stapleton. I'm the Executive Director of Delta Area Transit Authority, have been since 2012. A little history, I'm also shared with Schoolcraft County, so I spend about 50% of my time. A portion of our proceeds come from Schoolcraft County, and I provide director services to them over there as well. So I want to talk a little bit about a millage proposal. The last time Delta Area Transit Authority ran a millage in Delta County from the research that I can do was 2002. There was a special election that was done. There was only 43% or 40-some percent approval rating, and it failed in all cities and all townships in Delta County. And it wasn't too long after that, the cities of Escanaba and Gladstone levied a millage for Delta Area Transit Authority, which allowed it to stay open at the time. And then also included Maple Ridge at some time after that. Approximately 2012 and on is when some of the townships started coming on board. So currently, and you'll see part of that in the proposal I have in front of you, there's a map in there when you get in there a little bit. You'll see that map, but right now there are 7 townships and 2 cities in Delta County that have coverage. The other 7 townships do not. Keep in mind that if you just look at Wells Township alone, it's a township we drive through, back and forth through all day long to do service. Wells Township has close to 5,000 people that live in it. If you compare that to 2 of our neighboring counties with Alger and Schoolcraft County, they have a total population of around 8,000 for their whole county. And so it creates a unique challenge that we have. The other challenge we have in Delta County is just servicing the public for 5 days a week is really something that doesn't work for somebody that doesn't drive. If you can imagine, not only you're shut in for 2 days in a row, but once we close at Friday at 6 o'clock at night, you're not potentially getting to work, you're not gonna get to the walk-in clinic potentially, you're not gonna do any events, and so those people are shut in for 2 days. And so, that's been a problem. Sure, you could say, maybe you could use an Uber or Lyft or a taxi. I don't know how many of those you've seen that have the abilities to handle somebody in a wheelchair or a scooter, but there are zero. But also, keep in mind, it's approximately $60 round trip if you want to get to work at the casino during the day. So that's not gonna work either. So what we're actually, would like to propose is going out countywide, or what we would refer to as authority-wide, as we're a transit authority, this year in August. You might say, why August? Well, August is earlier in the year for planning purposes and budget purposes I need for MDOT, vehicle purchases, but also it gives us a little bit of time in there, approximately a week, for kind of a fire sale plan of what would we do if it didn't pass? How do we stay open? Because without a millage, we can't be open in Delta County. And so if you look at Marquette County, Alger County, Schoolcraft County, they have countywide millages. They're open 6 to 7 days a week in those counties. So our proposal would be 8 years. 8 years is the approximate life of a vehicle, roughly, 8 to 10 years. It gives enough time to put service on and not just propose it, but to put it on and give it a try and look at it countywide. That proposal would be, we would add morning dispatch earlier than we have now, 6 in the morning, but also would allow us to have Saturday service and add Friday and Saturday evening service. And so you might say, well, why would you add Friday, Saturday evening? Saturday makes sense. Why Friday, Saturday evenings? Alger and Schoolcraft have Friday, Saturday evenings. If you ask those two counties, or at least I can say from Schoolcraft, it would be one of the last services cut would be Friday, Saturday evenings. At one point in time, Schoolcraft County had the lowest drunk driving arrest per licensed driver in the state of Michigan. I don't know if that's current today, but it was an MLive study that was done a few years back after we launched that. So when you look at that, we're taking people not only to work, back and forth to work, but also we can do a lot of other things with it. We're taking people to church, we're taking somebody to their child's basketball game, or their grandson or granddaughter's basketball games or sporting events. We're taking people to and from wedding receptions, funerals. And in Delta County, what's key in there is currently we don't do service for dialysis on Saturdays. And so that allows us also to add Saturday for dialysis and a lot of the other events that happen, whether it's a concert or something going on at the park or what have you. So, what's .689 going to do? It brings in about an extra $500,000 a year. What's interesting with the way MDOT works and state and federal funds work is Delta County currently, the taxes that are paid in Delta County, a good portion of those are going on to the rest of the state of Michigan. So when you renew your license plate tabs, when you buy auto-related sales parts, wiper blades, starters, alternators, those type of things, when you register vehicles, when you transfer vehicles, those taxes that are paid, if they're not captured in your local community to be brought back in, they go on to other communities. And because we have not had a countywide millage, we have not had a full transit system, we have not been able to capture that here. And so we've let a lot of that go to other counties. So what counties? I can't tell you because it's shared statewide. And so that's really what our proposal looks at is, how can we stretch that out? Is that the best plan we could do in the county? No. Is it the lowest one? No. It's the lowest we can do and add 6-day-a-week service and add some evening service in there as well and still be able to operate. Yes, there's some challenges. We still would need to procure vehicles, drivers. Staff is very difficult to hire. We're a union operation. Our drivers and mechanics are Teamsters. If anybody hasn't tried hiring in a while, it's a great challenge right now to get somebody. At the rate I figure now, it's about hiring 4 people to get 1 to stay. It's just a unique challenge. It's not just a challenge in Delta County either. And so that's statewide, and there's many reasons for it that I don't want to get into detail. But in the packet I put together for you, I gave you a little bit of information on how, why. We are looking at things, I wanted to really show you, how we compare to our neighboring counties. And I wanted to show you the map on there that really shows the red and the blue, so to speak. The blue areas are service areas, and you can see the red. And so you could say, yes, we've tried in all the counties at least once in a countywide. And we tried in some of the other ones individually. Wells Township, we tried twice. Failed by 20, I think, the first time, and 200 the next. We tried in Baldwin, Maple Ridge, Cornell. We have not tried, other than countywide, with Nema, Garden, or Fairbanks. And keep in mind, I live in Fairbanks. Is there a lot of people that live in some of those regions? No. But what you'll find is, I give the story of the retired school teacher that a friend of mine came up on the side of the road, and she's in a ditch with the tires just smoking, burning, spinning the tires, and he went up and said, hey, Miss Teacher, stop, can I help you? And so he pulled her out of the ditch, and she drove away with his pickup attached down the road. She didn't know any different. And so we have a lot of those drivers in the rural areas that still want to live independently, but they can't drive, right? They're independently living, and they don't want to sell their house. And some of these people move here and build a beautiful house, but they have no way to get to medical appointments or, to get to places when that happens. So a couple things to keep in mind. 1 in 4 people will have a disability in their life. I don't think anybody plans for that. I know I sure haven't. And your average person outlives their driving by 7 to 10 years. And so that's something that we really kind of take for granted, I think, when most of us got our license at 16 and figured we were going to drive until, we weren't alive, so to speak. So that's really what we're looking at doing with this. I don't have a backup plan if it doesn't pass. We really need to come up with a way to do countywide service in Delta County. Piecemealing this doesn't work. The township borders don't work for us, especially when we drive through it. It doesn't work for residents that work in other communities and drive or need to get there. And so I really want you to kind of think about that a little bit. Absolutely understand the political climate we're in, the economy we're in, high fuel prices, inflation, and all those things. What we're talking about, on somebody that has a $200,000 house, you're talking about $70 a year. In today's day and age, that's not even a tank of gas anymore. And so I don't want to pay any more taxes either, but if we're going to have a system that works for the whole community and gets people to work and it gets their medical appointments and does those things, we're going to have to find a way to support that. In 50% of our cost, the data has to come from local source. So that's fares that people pay when they ride, that's contracts with agencies, and that is millage. And millage being the biggest piece of that. A lot of the contracts that we had years ago when we started, those contracts have really dried up over the years. If you think about, we used to bring people to the landfill to work for recycling, and that's not done there anymore. We used to do a lot of work for Pathways in Lake States. They used to have 200 clients they served just at Lake States. There just isn't those contracts anymore locally. And so a lot of that has changed. We've diversified from what we started in 1989 doing mostly contract service, and the majority of that service now is the general public. And so wanted to give you the opportunity if you have any questions or if I skipped over something a little too fast. But you'll see the forecast in here of what the forecast is for Delta County seniors, how much that's likely to grow in the future. Now, I don't have a crystal ball, but this is what they're telling us to forecast on. So I wanted to share, some of that information with you. And hopefully, that's valuable information, if nonetheless, so. Thank you.
Does anybody have any questions for John?
I do. Just a couple, I think, points of clarification, because I just want to understand. You were just talking about other ways you used to fund yourself, but those funding sources have dried up. That's what you're saying, is that there used to be ways that you could fund yourself different than taxes, but
Sure.
those are not available any longer.
So let me give you some examples. Years ago, we used to be able to do charter service. We could take, say, a holy name to basketball games or softball. We could take softball tournaments. We could do bachelor parties and bachelorette parties, or we could take maybe a daycare to the zoo type things, right? So those are considered illegal charter anymore, and they were great ways for transit systems to support themselves in the 80s and 90s, in early 2000s. But a lot of times, contract with agencies like Pathways, those were $200,000 contracts back in the days. Those contracts don't exist anymore. Mental health funding has really dried up over the years, and we've seen that in many levels, and one of those is transportation, obviously, for those. We have a lot of group homes that don't have service because of that, and it's really, tightened the belt a lot. Majority of my drivers are part-time drivers and part-time staff, and it's not by want, it's because we just don't have the budget to operate that, so. But, there have been other ways, there are other ways, to create some source of revenue. You can do it with vending machines and advertising on the bus and things like that, as we get a little bit more creative. But, we get about $5,000 a year in advertising on buses. We hope to grow that in the future. But how much can you grow it? If you have to add a part-time person or full-time person to work on advertising, did you grow it a lot, right? So there are some other opportunities, absolutely. Are they gonna bring in an extra $500,000 a year? Not likely. Traverse City's system that has a very big bus system, they bring in about $200,000 a year in bus advertising. They're much larger than ours.
So if I were to use the data bus service, would I be, as a resident, am I paying? Or do I just call and they pick me up and I don't pay?
So we charge fares for people to ride the bus.
Okay.
Similar to most systems. Delta County, we operate a demand response system, which is, some people call it dial-a-ride. And that's similar to like you'd have with a taxi cab. We will pick somebody up at their door and deliver them to where they're going at the door. Compared to a system like Mark Tran or, if you were in Lansing, those would be route-based systems. Escanaba is not the best suited for a route-based system. For one, we don't have bus stops. For two, people would have to walk several blocks to get to their bus stop. The other reason why we don't is if we were to do that, we would have to run a paratransit system. So anybody that couldn't get to the bus stop, we'd still have to go pick them up at their door. So we'd run two systems. So there's some downsides to that. But so they pay a fare. The average fare that we collect from somebody, say in the city of Escanaba, those are $2 fares. Our fares are half rates for seniors, disabled, veterans, and students that have ID.
And has that rate, how much has that gone up over the years?
It's gone up a full $1 in the last 12 months.
Okay.
A year and a half, it's gone up a full $1 per fare range area. And so that goes by distance. So if you're going from here to Rapid River, that fare is going to be higher than that. Or if you're going from here to the casino or something like that. So the further you go, the higher it goes up, right? So, Escanaba to Gladstone is going to be a little bit more than if you're just staying in Escanaba. So it's based on distance.
And so does Delta County, so you just said go to the casino, that's in Menominee. So do Delta County residents, can they take the data bus to
So we bring people to.
across county line?
A couple of things. We have a regional route. Part of that regional route subsidized with the Sioux Tribe. And we have a regional route between Manistee and Escanaba. They actually meet at where the Naser gas filling station is on US 2 near Highway 13. So we have up to 3 times a day where they meet, and we bring, primarily it's people coming to Escanaba for work and for school. And so that route's somewhat subsidized, but it also has riders paying. We do some service. We bring Escanaba residents, Delta County residents to work at the casino, and then we bring some people to recreate there. And it's about 3/4 of a mile out of Delta County, but frankly, if transit systems in Michigan worked on county line basis, we would probably not be able to get a lot of things done, right? If you just looked at jurisdictions and things like that. So we do some service with them. We do get 2% funds from them as a governmental entity. We've had some contracts with them before my time. They didn't work out great, unfortunately, and it left some bad taste. Hopefully, we can work on some of those again in the future. So we have had some contracts with them that predates my time.
Okay. And I guess my last question is, of your rider base, what's the percentage that's over the age of like 65?
So the majority of our riders are over 65, so at least 50% plus are over 65 generally. I didn't run a report on just an age piece, but primarily that's the case. And the reason I know that is because we're eligible sometimes for some other funding for buses based on persons with disabilities and people over the age of 65. It puts us in some other categories. But if you look at a whole in the Upper Peninsula, we have more people that are over 65 than the rest of Michigan does. And we also have more veterans too, by the way.
Yeah,
And so,
that's why I'm surprised it's not higher. I thought it
well,
would be higher,
it
but-
could be higher, but, you know, up until a few years ago, we only serviced 2 cities. It really shouldn't have been called Delta Area Transit Authority. It should have been called Escanaba Gladstone Bus.
Right.
In fairness, and then, you know,
Okay.
furthermore, if you're a senior, how could you use Data Bus when it's only open Monday through Friday? I mean, it's really not an option, to be honest with you. It's not a great option for those people, and it's left some big holes. It's forced people to drive without licenses and rely on unreliable sources, so.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I got a couple if you don't mind. So did I hear that right? Because we don't have a countywide capture, we don't get the capture from auto parts.
So we get our portion of it, but it's lesser per capita, so to speak, than it would be versus Schoolcraft, Alger, and Marquette counties. Now, we get more in Menominee County because they don't have a transit system per se. They have a specialized service system. Most of the UP border systems don't have very good transit systems other than Gogebic. There's nothing in Dickinson, there's nothing in Iron County, there's nothing in Menominee. So we get more than some counties do, but not a whole lot more. And so we're really not, we don't have the local, and, you know, let's face it, if I'm gonna go to city councils and the county board and say, hey, we need $500,000 so that we can add more transit service, who has it in the budget? Now, if we're down in Livingston County, they don't even have a millage because they have enough budget to do that with, right? But when you talk about dark store issues and all kinds of other things, so we are letting some of those dollars go back in Delta County per capita. There is no maximum or minimum. It's based on what we have for local match. So when they set up transit systems, they basically said, all right, you're eligible for this funding, but you're gonna have to come up with, you know, 50% of your costs locally. And by the way, that's first. So we don't get a state and federal share first. We get to pay our portion first and they reimburse us, if that makes sense. So if we get $1 locally, that means we can match that with $1 in state and federal funds. A little bit different when we get into capital assets, but as far as operating, I can write grants all day long for buses and bus facilities and different things. But when it comes to operating, there is no grants that I can really receive unless we're gonna go to a private source or maybe a tribe or something that are gonna give us a grant for operating dollars. And that's where our challenge comes in, right? So that's 90% of our budget is wages and benefits, you know, operating the buses, and that's really where the challenge comes in.
And so this millage will replace the millages that the cities and the townships currently are paying.
Yeah, so there's only going to be 3 that actually could be levied in '26, winter of '26, which if I can remember off the top of my head, I believe that is Beatty Knock, I think it's Bark River, and there's one more, it might be Ensign, but don't quote me on the exact ones. But there's only 3 that actually could be, so regardless, we have to do something with it this year. The goal is to do something countywide so we don't have to be piecemealing what we're doing in the community. And it's mixed signals because somebody calls up and says, hey, I need to get to a doctor's appointment and I live in Wells Township, and the answer is, well, we don't service Wells Township. And they said, well, wait a minute, I pay taxes. What do you mean we don't have bus service? And it creates a really big bottleneck. This happens, you know, weekly where people are calling for service that I see the buses, people say to call. It's just a problem that we have because where do you see where it's here and it's not there? So.
Sure. So in my head, I have, my internal debate is, I like to give the locality as much control as possible. And so when we have the townships in control, they get to choose, is this gonna be for me or is this not gonna be for me? We see that in our sheriff's road patrol millage where some of the townships vote it down, but it carries through because the cities carry it through. Which I'm more than happy to have sheriff in every township. I think it's a very important thing. And the people in those townships might not agree with me. So we'd probably have an argument back and forth. With this, we kind of run into the same thing. If the cities pass it, are we forcing it upon those townships in order to actually like say, hey, this is good for you, you need to take this. However, you guys might not have wanted it in the first place.
Sure, absolutely, it's true. There's no doubt about it, but I can tell you that, you know, the farthest reaching parts of Delta County, we still get calls in from people, you know, up Highway 13 that need service. They move here, they relocate here, they build a nice house here, and then they don't have service, 10 years later when they need it. And so we still have the need for it. Whether somebody wants to pay for it, it's a different story. A perfect example of that is, I have a recycling millage on my taxes, but I don't have access to recycling in Fairbanks Township. Unless I want to bring it all the way over here, what is that, what do I get for that, right? So I think it's absolutely true. I mean, you could look at that probably with anything on there. I don't have anybody that's, school age other than a grandson right now. Do I want to pay for a school millage? Or the ISD or any of those type of things, right? Fire departments, road patrol, so any of those things. But absolutely, that's a good portion of it. The population base in Delta County is more in the cities and closer you get to Escanaba. Absolutely part of the factor, but there's still a need per capita across the whole county. You could argue that need might be less because you're further out, but, I can quote one township supervisor basically said, well, our people just move into West Highland if they need service then. We don't worry about it in our township. Well, that's not accurate. That's not right either. I think people have the reasonable expectation to be able to age in place and live independently and not have to worry about selling their house. And so, you could build a house all on the same level, ADA accessible, 36-inch doors, but who's coming to pick you up? Something people don't think about, so. And I don't have we don't have a budget with a lot of waste in it to be able to just utilize and say, all right, let's send somebody 3 times a week, down to Stonington Peninsula without a millage to bring somebody to dialysis. And, you'll hear those stories that we've done that for people, so.
And then the other side of me is going, man, this is a heck of an economic development tool. And we're always trying to find tools to develop our economy better and better. And if, like you said, if you can't get to work, it's really hard to have those entry-level jobs able to provide the services they need to serve.
You'd be really surprised how many people we take to work on a daily basis just on a 5-day-a-week system, and how far some of those people travel to get to work. And I think you'd be surprised if you saw how many they are. Well, the challenge is how many can't we do because it just doesn't work for them now, right? There's close to 5,000 people live in Wells Township that don't have access today. That's just one township. So it's some challenges. Am I nervous? Absolutely. We're banking on a millage potentially that could put us out of business if this doesn't pass, right? Are we going to be there on January 1st if it doesn't pass? That's really the challenge with this. And that's what's scary about it. And that's why it hasn't been tried for this many years, frankly. It's that risky.
Is there a contingency plan for November if it doesn't pass?
Great question.
Either now or in
I have one
August?
in my head, but here's the problem. That's a week turnaround to get on the ballot for November, right? Part of the reason why it's really important to figure out what role you guys have in a countywide millage as well, and you'll see some correspondence from Foster and Swift, our attorney, on that as well, because part of the concern there is we probably can't flip that around very quick in a week, can we? So absolutely some concern. But no doubt it would have to be an extremely scaled back plan that probably would look like maybe a 5-day-a-week countywide. I don't think that's an option that's even worth talking about because it still doesn't fix some of the problems we have. So yeah, that's, let's face it, some of the other problems we have, you're at 0.6 in the 2 cities, you're at 0.5 in the townships. We need to have a way to levy that across the board that's the same. Should one pay more than the other? I don't think so, but that's my opinion.
Sure. And you've been stuck in kind of what can we get from the townships or what can we get from the cities and
Yeah.
trying to budget
So,
accordingly.
there's several reasons why. When this system was started in '89, it was taken over from the Community Action Agency, and it started with mostly contract rides. It was told to the taxpayers back then, we'll never need a millage. Well, when you start up a transit system, the state pays for 100% of expenses for 3 years, and then they expect you to have a local millage or local support. Sometimes those support came from county boards for a lot of years, or city commissions, et cetera. So that's part of the problems. But also, the system started in '89. Most of your transit systems in the UP and Michigan started in the mid-'70s. So this system isn't as old as most of the transit systems in Michigan. There are younger ones, but this is one of the youngest ones in the UP that I'm aware of. Schoolcraft County started in 1980. That's almost 10 years difference. So a lot more, history that goes with that, so to speak, so.
And then last question from me. So if this does pass, basically, people can get to Fairport if they need to, they can come, to the cities if they need to.
So absolutely, it would be very similar to the service you see in Eldred, Schoolcraft County. Marquette County is a totally different animal, but because they don't service some of the outlying areas like if you get north of Rock and some of that up there much. But absolutely, same thing we're providing in Schoolcraft County. I mean, if you look at Germfast, how far it is from Manistee, that's no different than going from Fairport to Escanaba and vice versa. And so we do have procedures on, who gets first served if we're out of capacity. If somebody called 5 minutes ago and needs a ride from Fairport in Escanaba, and you're booked up by other people that have pre-scheduled rides 24 hours in advance, well, obviously they get trumped behind them, but there's procedures for how to handle that. Most of the time, we can always get somebody in the same day. What happens often, though, is somebody will call and say, I have a doctor's appointment in 10 minutes. That's tough to make. Sometimes we can do it, but it's still tough to make. Even though there's 20 buses out there, it can be tough to do that at all times, right? Because they're going all different directions, and they're trying to get people, to an appointment and home from work, and so you have all those things to mix with that. But so that's what a demand response system looks like. If somebody needs to go from NAMA to Gladstone, it absolutely does that.
I have one additional question
Sure.
that came up during this conversation. Why not charge more?
So we do charge more based on distance. If you're going to go to Fairport, it's going to be considerable more to Escanaba than if you're going to go from Escanaba to Gladstone. So they pay based on range and how many miles that is, and it goes up. We could charge a lot more, but also at the same time, that's one of the things that limits people from being able to get to work and get to medical appointments and stuff, is they just don't have the cash to do that, right? So if we were going to charge, $100, if you're going to take an Uber from Fairport to Escanaba, it's probably $100 or $150 to do that.
Right, and I'm not trying to say that you would be like a taxi. I'm saying that if you're asking the taxpayers or the residents to subsidize all the rides, why not charge more for the rides so that the residents are paying less to subsidize it? That's what I'm getting at.
So great question. That comes up a lot. So our fares are higher than a lot of systems have. If you ride MarkTran, it's probably 75 cents to ride the bus, where if you're, and here's the challenges. The law reads this. If you're a mother, okay, and you're not disabled, and you're not a student, and you're not a senior, and you're not a veteran, you're going to pay double the price to ride the bus already. And so now you might have a couple kids with you. It gets very expensive for some of those people to ride that don't fall into a protected class, so to speak. And so we try to be very careful to not be too high where it's going to cost somebody $20 to get to the doctor's office and from Gladstone. And that's the challenge with that, is when we have to charge half of our riders or more 50% of the cost, but everybody else full price, it picks winners and losers. And that's what happens with that. So that's exactly what would happen if we raise that more. There would be a $5 ride and there would be a $10 ride. Problem is it doesn't have any bearing on your income guidelines. It's bearing on your age or a disability status or a veteran or something like that. And so that's really the challenge in it. So I think there might be a page in here that shows some of our rates in some of the areas, if I look at it closely up here. So if you look at the page that has the kind of the dollar bills on it, it shows some of the rates by miles. So you can see, is that cheap? Yeah, it's very reasonable, but at the same time, we're trying to provide reasonable transportation for everybody in the community to be able to utilize it. A good portion of ridership at times is working on less than $10,000 a year. So I know some riders that ride, I think they get $42 a month. And so if that costs them $20 to go to town and back, they can pick, maybe 2 trips to town. That's very difficult on them to do. So, if you're living in a group home or something like that, you don't have a lot of money to deal with that either. The other avenue with that is the amount of money you would have to increase those fares to do that with. You'd have to be Uber and Lyft price to do that. You'd have to get that high in order to bring in, if you're going to bring in an extra $500,000, you're not going to do that in the fare increase.
Right, and I was actually not necessarily suggesting that. I was just suggesting that maybe the .689, whatever the mills was, could have been lower and adjusted the fares a little higher to kind of be a give and a take.
So
I
we
guess.
bring in about $100,000 a year in fares right now. Could we bring it down to, .65 if we increased it a little bit? Sure. Maybe .6 if we really trim some things off. But, if we undershoot this and then under-deliver service and the person calls that needs service on a Friday, Saturday night, or calls from Fairport and can't get a ride, this is never going to get renewed as well. And so that's part of this, is planning for those pieces in there. And that's part of the challenge that we have now, is inflation has kicked in. It's extremely difficult to fill staff and to do the things that we need to do with what we have. It really is.
I know this question is going to be difficult to answer, and I don't know if you can, because right now, it's really Gladstone and Escanaba that are, for the most part, using this service. If this is countywide, what sort of projection do you have that these townships, these outlying folks in townships are going to be using this service?
So it's pretty easy to look at. You can look at our demographics, a lot of it by demographics, by how old people are living in a township. It takes a couple years, so it ramps up slowly as well. It takes a few years once you start service for people to start using it. So I'll give you a good example. Bark River took a couple years. We might not have done a ride, other than 1 or 2 offs for a couple years. And then pretty soon it hits and you're there 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 times a day. So those things take some time. Escanaba Township took some time. Ford River took some time, absolutely took time. They all took time. And it's, really, I think it takes people seeing that bus in their area and realizing that they can use it and talking to people before they go, you know what, it's actually there. So the good part with ramping up is it gives us the ability, to put that into building, hiring employees and putting people to work and buying vehicles and doing those type of things. What we generally see in rural counties is the further away you get from your population centers, the less the utilization is. And so you could pretty much argue that, if you're going to get NAMA, Fairbanks, garden areas, that utilization is going to be a lot less than if you're in Wells Township or if you're, even, Cornell and some of that. We did have a millage for a while up in Maple Ridge, up in Rock. Wasn't renewed sometime way before me. So it really depends on the area, and a lot of it depends on, the groups, what they're doing, what type of service they need. Things change in generations, and you'll see that. A lot of transit demographics changed pre and post-COVID as well. How much utilization can I say they're all going to have? It will vary, but there's no doubt that it's going to be lower the further out you get, and it's going to be much higher. Wells Township will be a very tough demand to meet. I can assure you of that. Wells Township is going to be very difficult. We could virtually use 6 vehicles probably for Wells Township alone after that comes on, after about a year. That's going to be really tough.
But yet they didn't pass the millage when.
So, I've talked to, even today, I've talked to couple voters that said I voted no on it, but I didn't know. Didn't know if I needed it. I didn't know what it was for. And that's the key, is how do you educate people? It's very expensive to tell people what you're gonna do with it and how, and I can only say so much stuff as well. That's the challenge of telling them. The other thing that's really difficult is saying, if you vote no, there is no service. There is no calling us. There is nobody to come help you then. And I think that's the challenge with it as well. We run into that quite a bit, but I think all of us, kind of are at that point where we're like, I don't see myself using that, right? And then pretty soon later on, you're like, yeah, I guess I probably should have used that, right? So that's a big portion of what we see in Wells Township. Wells Township historically has not passed by demographics. If you looked at it, the amount of seniors there is less than most of the surrounding townships.
So if it didn't pass, if this doesn't pass here, would that be an option for you to have a millage in these individual townships, to seek that again?
Not likely. We would probably, whatever we do, we will go forward countywide after this.
Okay.
So whatever happens here on out, it would be a countywide proposal, whether it's a countywide proposal for, what we're proposing now, or if it's a 5-day-week proposal, it would be only countywide.
Okay.
And I think that was a really big mistake to not have countywide from the beginning.
To start with.
We planned on going out for this in 2022, if I'm not mistaken. We had planned it for that winter, had it all ready to go, shovel-ready, and the Ukraine war started. Sounds a little familiar, right? Fuel prices spiked, we had high inflation, we had COVID going on, so we pulled the plug on it. Wish we would've ran it then. We planned it again this winter, start talking about things, and here we are in Iran, right? Fuel prices spike, and we're back at this again. There is no right time to do a millage. There really isn't. And the other reason for 8 years, by the way, is it puts us in with election cycles. 4 years, I don't think is long enough. Could we do 4? Sure, but I don't think it's long enough. Really not long enough to look at what service levels look like in a community, but we're trying to get on regular election cycles, and we could do 50 years, 100 years. But 8 years kind of fits well with election cycles where we're not doing special elections and worried about, is there, school board election this time and all those pieces. As Nancy knows, that's the question she gets all the time. What's up this year? What are we looking at? Because we don't want to have a special election now, especially with the cost to do these with extended voting. So we're really trying to get in with election cycles and do this on a more regular basis. So hopefully that helps figure out why 8 years. How does that fit in? 10 could work. 10's probably too long. 12 would be better, but it's longer yet, so, yeah.
Thank you.
One last question, if I may. How much of a burden would you say you take off of the EMS system? Because you mentioned I have a doctor's appointment in 10 minutes. Oh, we can't get there. Well, 911, what's your emergency? Because they have to respond. So having data, would you say that frees up our EMS?
So more than you know, a lot of people don't talk about it. We try not to do emergency transportation. It's not what we're there for, but we take a lot of people to the ER on a daily basis and home from the ER as well. And it's one of the struggles we have in Delta County is what happens at night, if you have to leave the ER after everything's closed. If you have to walk down a dark street, and we hear it often, or you have to, roll a wheelchair down Fifth Avenue, that's a unique challenge that we have that we'll try to work out with OSF in the future. So we do take some of that off. Is it enough? There's always going to be people that are drug seekers or somebody that's looking, to call every time they've fallen down and needs help. So there's always going to be some of that, but we take a fair amount. I don't know that we've ever measured how many people we just take to the ER in those case scenarios. It helps with all of those pieces a little bit. I don't know that it's a measurable amount of difference to say it's worth paying for because it relieves Rampart. But I can tell you that if Rampart is freed up so they can get to your call quicker when there's an emergent need rather than do something that's non-emergent, I think it's important to do. And I have two, my wife's an EMT and my daughter's an EMT, and I'm a volunteer firefighter, and I can tell you that I think that's important enough when you got a call for somebody that has, a toddler that the fingernails clipped too short on and things like that, right? So, last thing I want to leave you with, unless you have any more questions, is I really want to appreciate the help I got from Emily in Delta County during the storm we had. We had some dialysis patients that hadn't been to dialysis. They had missed the Friday before that big storm because there was another storm that Friday. So they didn't go Friday, and now they skipped Monday because Monday was bad rather, right? So they needed to be hooked up in dialysis. So we had this perfect plan with emergency management, and we had this perfect plan of, we're going to lead people, get drivers into the building and lead the buses to the people to get them in. With a snowplow, if we need to, we're going to get people to dialysis. Well, here's where we failed. We couldn't get into our building, and I couldn't hire anybody in Delta County to plow us out. I couldn't find it. I called even McCoy and said, how much for a loader for the day, whatever we need. Couldn't get anybody. And it had been recommended to call Emily. And then I heard, well, the loaders at the airport probably can't use it, right? And so the next morning, by 7:30 in the morning, I had pictures of Corey plowing us out and opened us up so we could do service that day. And so the community really appreciates going above and beyond for that because frankly, didn't need to. But, that's something that you can't measure that. So just want to share that with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, any other questions?
Thank Thank you.
happy to answer questions anytime. If somebody has something, please reach out and contact me. So if I knew everything or had a crystal ball, I'd tell you, I just don't.
Thank you, John.
Thank you for your work.
Okay. Get a motion.
So move approval of the Delta Area Transit Authority to go out for their millage in August.
I'll support.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
I oppose.
Motion passed.
Do we have to do anything with the resolution? No?
I'm not sure. I don't know. Were you looking for the board to pass a resolution tonight? Or just in support of
It's
the,
recommended from our attorneys to do that because of the way we're formed, but it's not required.
so Mr. Stapleton, just for the people at home if they didn't hear him, said it's not required, but it's recommended for the resolution.
Motion to approve the resolution.
Support.
Okay.
Do we have to read the resolution?
No, I think you just need a roll call.
Okay, thank you. Roll call.
Just,
Okay, got it.
Commissioner Williams,
No.
Commissioner Van Genhoven,
Yes.
Commissioner Jensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
and Commissioner Melner.
yes. Okay. Motion passed and the resolution passed. Okay, number 3, the retirement of M. Cowan, request for a lump sum payout and to fill probation officer female position.
I would move that we accept the retirement, Mary Cohen, and take care of the lump sum payout and post to refill the probation officer's position. And please send her a letter of thank you and gratitude from us.
Support.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 4, Parks Campground Policy and Regulations. Heather is coming up.
Hello, Commissioners, Administrator, Clerk. It's nice to see everyone. It's nice to see the sun outside. I've been sweating out a little bit with the parks. But anyway, I'm here tonight regarding the campground policies and regulations. Please note that we do have different spaces, different public spaces that we utilize, and there's different rules and regulations that go with each. So this one tonight, where I'm speaking, are these regulations that we're gonna go over serve, I'm gonna take those off, serve O.B. Fuller Park and Pioneer Trail Park specifically, are parks that have campgrounds in them. I have to put these back on. So, in saying that, our campground's open in 2 weeks. May 8th is our opening day, and we looked at the regulations, the policies, I looked at those, and did a revision. Since then, I have had some other feedback as well, so I did hand out, you guys should all have a copy of the revision of Section T, the weapons and hunting section. It's been so busy, we're just juggling a lot, so that came after you guys got the original revision set. But that is also something I'm recommending from some feedback that I received. And so, per the Park and Recreation Commission bylaws, we have 9 days from when we adopt these regulations. And so what'll happen is if we adopt these regulations and these policies, they'll be in the paper for 2 weeks. It's once, per our commission bylaws. One time, I think, each week. So one time for 2 weeks straight. And then 9 days after these are adopted, they'll be official. So because of that May 8th date line coming up, we have a very short window. So I apologize for that. These would have been looked at our last Parks and Rec Commission meeting, but we didn't have a quorum, so that meeting was canceled. We wouldn't have been able to do anything. So they are here for you guys to feast upon. So tonight, I'm looking to go over those, to get your feedback, to make suggested updates on those, and then to get those adopted. I did hear what Mr. Mattson said. I don't know if I'm in agreement with that. I don't have my Open Meetings Act. I usually keep it. I have a different folder tonight with me. But this is my understanding, is that for the public, the Open Meetings Act is, as long as we're doing the how, we're doing the meetings, we're making the adoption in the public, and this is an open meeting where the public's invited, then we're okay. The content of it, the actual regulations, what we come up with to regulate the park can be done as long as we're following either a county ordinance or our bylaws. And our bylaws do state that we'll give the public 9 days, it'll be in the paper for 2 weeks, and then the 9 days from that, and it's more for information. We're gonna set these certain policies, you can have dogs in cabins here, or whatever they are. And then the public will be informed of regulations before they come to the park. In saying that also, I'm always open for any feedback. Anybody can get a hold of me at any time for comments. I do take those very seriously, and I try to address every single one in some fashion. So that's about all I had for that. And so I would like to hear your feedback, and I know there were some changes that I had received beforehand, which were really nice to look at. And so, want to just dive in, or?
May
Well, I
I?
just wanted to make a point real quick, a point of clarification, that our bylaws, Parks and Rec Commission bylaws require that the Board of Commissioners approve the final rules and regulations. It's in the bylaws, so.
I do have a question. So this would have been brought to Park and Rec Commission, but because there was no quorum and you did not have a meeting, it was automatically forwarded to us. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
I think we still have rules and regulations on the next Parks and Rec Commission meeting, but it's for other parks. It's for the ones that don't have campgrounds.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, there's different regulations we have to go through in each one. This one's first because the campgrounds are opening, but, Sac Bay, they're from 1991. So that one, obviously, we'll go through the Parks and Rec Commission first, and then we'll also have the regulations, looked at and reviewed for the county forest as well. And then when all of these go through, the proper channels, we'll put them into also one large document. So they'll be pieced out, and then they'll all be together too.
So,
Move to approve.
Support.
I was gonna ask her, as this wasn't last month, it was a previous month when this came, Park and Rec, and that's when we noticed there was some differences between the short document, this one, and then the master document. This cleaned up those other inconsistencies between them.
Well, this is where it gets a little confusing. So those were our day use parks, our Sac Bay and Rapid River. And we're gonna work at making sure that it's more concise and it's more easily understood. I think, when I came on board, I was just looking at regulations that were before me and juggling, and this is great. This whole process is great because I'm seeing how much we really need to clarify things and break things down and revisit things, and we're only gonna be better for it, so.
To that point, one of the comments that I had about this set of policies is I would prefer that instead of it saying, throughout the document, it refers to Delta County Parks, that it say O.B. Fuller Park, Pioneer Trail Park, or at the very beginning of the document, which would probably be easier, just specify that these rules and regulations are for Pioneer Trail Park and O.B. Fuller Park, herein referred to as the parks. And then
Okay.
that way, you don't have to have those two names
Yeah.
throughout the entire thing. But I think part of the confusion is when you're flipping through something and you see Delta County Parks, you're assuming all the parks. And it's really, this is for two
Yes.
parks specifically, so.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah,
I definitely agree with that.
Yeah, especially when you look at it, it says, top in the header, it's campground policies and regulations. That's one little one little blip up front where you're gonna have this, that actually, everything in here consolidates what happens within those
Okay,
two areas.
Got it.
And then, so there was a couple of comments that I had.
Okay.
In here, you refer to definition, it says administration is Delta County. Okay. And then throughout the document, when you use administration, it feels like it should be park manager.
okay.
So is administration Delta County, or is it park manager?
I can rewrite that.
Or it could
So
say
it's-
administration and/or park manager. But throughout the document, I can give an example.
Okay,
Seasonal camping requires an executed seasonal ground lease agreement with administration. You don't mean that it's, you would contact Delta
Right.
County, right? You would contact the parks manager. So that's kind of what I'm referring to, is that, to clarify that it is the parks manager.
okay.
And then the other question that I had, I was taken aback by the renting of a cabin having to be 21 years old. If you can vote at 18, why can't you rent a cabin at 18? And maybe there was a reason for it, so,
You can't rent a car at 18.
I don't know, I'm just asking.
Yeah, so
23,
that's
there's a
basically
reason.
it. There was a higher risk of damages, so when you rent a campsite, you only have to be 18. It's a minimum age, and it's just a piece of land, obviously, there's a ped box and stuff there. But I think this is how it was before, and I did agree with it. I did call around to local hotels, which was all, 21, everyone that I
Okay.
called in the area anyway.
That's
The
fine.
car
You
and
don't-
vacation rentals.
And that's fine, if there's a reason for it, that's fine. I
Yeah.
just was like, it seemed odd to me that I had to be 21 years old to rent
I
a
guess just
cabin.
more damage can occur and.
Okay. Speaking of ages, the other thing that I was taken aback by was to be on the playground or swimming, I have to be
Okay.
supervised when I'm 16 years old.
Okay.
And-
playground, let me read.
I felt like that was
Oh,
older than it needed to be. So I would like to see that change. I would like to see throughout the entire document that you're either 12, you need adult supervision if you're 12 or younger, but if you're older than that, then you can be on the playgrounds or using playground equipment without supervision. I felt like 16 was,
I guess I agree with you on the playground. I don't agree with the water.
with swimming?
Yeah, just because that, again, that's a higher risk, and I think as a county, for us to have,
I can't imagine going to Wintler Beach when I was 16 years old and having to carry my mother along with me.
well, I guess because water, yeah, I was just trying to show reasonable supervision, I guess, there.
Okay,
But,
okay. It's,
I
you
do
know,
agree with the 12-year-old,
Okay.
with a 12-year-old, but to have like, okay, 12-year-olds, and then, let's say, there's somebody, I don't know, there's a 12, a 10, a 9, they're all swimming, and then the 12-year-old, how would they respond to somebody drowning? If we would say like, okay, how about we have supervision of, I'm trying to like, on the spot here, like, children under the age of 16, we separate it out. Swimming must be supervised by an 18 or older, so it's like, that minimum age, because they might respond better to a water incident, I think, than somebody that's younger. I'm just thinking of
Okay.
somebody drowning, the immaturity there. The playground, though, I totally get that.
Okay, all right.
So
So
I-
you would be okay with changing the playground to 12?
Yeah, and separating them out so that it reads easier.
Okay.
So it's like swimming, something to the fact that you have to have, anybody that's under the age of 16 would need somebody supervising that's 18 or older. And then the playground would be anyone under the age of 12
Has to be supervised, okay.
with a responsible party, yeah. Something like that. But I can write it and
Okay.
send it to you guys first.
Okay.
I'm like on the spot trying to think of this stuff, but yeah, that's a good thing to point out.
I think most of the other stuff that I had was just, there's some extra spaces and commas and things
Oh,
like that.
yeah,
So it wasn't
I can
much.
clean those up if you want to
Yeah.
send that to me,
Yeah,
then.
nothing much. Oh, I
Can
did
tell
have
you
one
something.
question real quick under P, it's under equipment and appliances. And I'm making an assumption here, so just correct me if I'm wrong, but the statement about like having manufactured equipment and stuff, that's because you don't want people bringing like their
Oh.
standalone freezers and then plugging them in.
Refrigerators are a big one.
Refrigerators and, okay, gotcha.
People build decks,
U-
they
Using
wanna like,
excessive electricity.
Yeah.
Which obviously.
Extra propane
You're
setups.
subsidizing that, so,
Mhm.
okay, all right.
yeah, it can turn into like Sanford and Son quickly if you let them go.
Okay.
Some people, not everyone, of course.
And then my last, I think this is my last one.
And it also like, I think it also protects us from like code issues and stuff.
Under animals, I would suggest deleting 7B, which just reiterates the animal control ordinance that's in place right now.
Oh,
That says
yeah,
that
okay.
it's unlawful to have more than 4 pets, because I don't agree with that, and I
Okay.
don't think, I mean, it just doesn't, to me, it doesn't have relevance to the campground, because you say that that you can only have 2 pets per site. So why even mention this?
Okay. See? Okay,
Hi, Heather.
hi.
One thing I was noticing is, could we get a definition what recreational drug use is? Because we say recreational drug use is prohibited, but we allow alcohol, which is a drug. So, I mean, if we're,
That's a good idea.
You know what? I actually had something on that. I forgot about that.
did you?
I did. Yeah, actually, is it number 8? Is that no recreational
yeah,
drug
it's
use is allowed?
E8, yeah.
What I actually put was, I just put that Michigan Regulation and Taxation Act, public consumption of marijuana is prohibited, illicit drugs are prohibited.
That
Rather
would be a
than-
nice add-on,
Yeah,
yeah.
that-
Yep.
that is
Rather
good.
than,
Yep.
yeah, because recreational drugs, you're right, is that alcohol or?
Right.
yeah.
So yes.
Perfect,
Yeah.
thank you.
See.
And then, manufactured equipment, for appliances would, I mean, I guess it's kind of up to who's ever enforcing the rules, but like if I brought my waffle iron and had it outside, would that be considered an appliance?
That's what I was getting at, is I think she's referring to like those people that
Yeah.
bring
Refrigerator.
standalone.
Yeah, I'm trying to go
TVs,
for
like
that, so
yes.
maybe I can word that differently. I'll try to work on that.
Sure.
Really
Well, and
super quick.
it's real hard. 'cause
I know
it's-
what you're
It's more
saying.
like, well, I know that one's okay, but come on, you don't need your 50-inch TV in the trees.
Yeah,
Or
right.
full-size refrigerator
Well,
outside.
exactly.
Upright freezers, we've seen those.
Yep.
Yeah,
So like, I got the
Okay.
spirit of the rule, the person enforcing it might have difficulty while they're trying to enforce and say, well, your waffle iron's okay. Well, why is his
Yeah,
waffle iron
right.
okay, but my chest
Fridge
freezer's not?
yeah, it's got to be within reason. So
Right.
I'll try to word that better and send that out. Define it better.
Yeah, and then I understand the spirit of and I think I'm on P2 again with air conditioning and you
Oh.
need to have it occupied. Now, some of those ovens will cook for a long, long time, and then by the time you get in there at night, you're trying to, basically you're using a little tiny air conditioner to try to get it back to a comfortable temperature. So I get why people will go in and go, oh, no, 40 degrees, that's what I'm setting it for, and I'm just leaving it there because it's not my dollar. So I understand the spirit of the rule for that, but I also kind of go, well, nobody wants to go, okay, hey, I'm in my place and it's 80 degrees now and I got to try to cool it down enough for me to go to sleep at 10 p.m. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So
it makes sense.
the challenge of writing that rule, or another thing I've noticed is people, when they leave their animals, sometimes animals will bark, so they'll kennel them in their trailer. And so
That's a good
the
point.
dog will bark, the air conditioning will go to drown it out and keep the dog cool. So how do we say, no, I'm sorry, Fido's got to bake?
Oh, right. We would never do that.
Right,
So,
exactly.
That's a great point. I mean,
Okay.
I honestly have never thought of that, so. Look to strike that one, but
Well, and
we can make a suggestion
Sure.
when people come in, please.
Maybe just make a statement.
conscious of-
Be conscientious
yeah,
about the amount
conscientious,
of
yeah.
electricity you're using, some
Yes.
just broad statement.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Then I have
That's
one.
good.
Then I have one last one.
yeah.
Regarding the fish cleaning, I think it's like Y4.
Yeah, that was a tricky one for me.
So if I'm a kid and I'm fishing and I catch whatever fish I catch and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna clean my fish. How do I get, now this is a good thing for Mr. Stapleton, is how do I get from the campsite to North Shore cleaning or to the Gladstone? spot to clean my fish. Like, it becomes kind of a challenge to, like, we're trying to encourage our kids to fish. Yet, well, I know if my son catches a fish, he's like, Dad, I want to clean this. And I'm like, oh, man, one, really? But, like, we still clean it, we still eat it.
For
and
sure,
whatever.
yeah.
So how do we, how do I get him to clean the fish when that's not allowed? And he can't, I mean, other than taking the data bus, he's not going to be able to do it.
Is it in there because, why is that in there?
It's in there because, when we say you cannot, harass, capture, I think the word capture, so I was trying to be hyper-focused on that. Well, someone's gonna say, but we do capture because we're fishing. So we did that, we had that, but we have found, people cleaning fish and leaving it in fire rings or putting the garbage and then, places that aren't designated, I guess, because we don't have any right now.
Super
And
gross.
then there's animals in there, and
Yep.
then it leads to squirrel problems, and, so I had put it in here as like, until such facilities are provided, and we do want to work on that. I'm just not sure how to
What if
say
you were
that.
to say that all fish cleaning, like the guts and stuff need to be put into a plastic bag and sealed before put in the garbage? I mean, would
Yeah,
that?
some kind of proper disposal,
Yep.
or
Yeah,
no?
would that?
Nancy, because I don't fish, so I don't,
Yeah,
No,
that's
that's
gonna
not right.
attract bears or whatever in a short time. Yeah, that's not enough.
we need to come up with something, because we have so many fishermen, especially with the cabins. We have a lot of people that stay in the cabins now, just so they can use the
Yeah.
boat launch and fish, because it's free, and they really like it, and it's beautiful, and so that was a tricky one for me, too. Maybe we'll just have to buy some kind
I
of
was
receptacle.
gonna say, what if you had a receptacle that was like an animal-proof, bear-proof kind of receptacle, that's what fish guts and stuff went into?
Because I could rewrite it, like, take out the off-site, mention that there is a really nice fish cleaning station over there, but that they can only dispose of it in a designated area, and we'll just have to figure out how to do that.
Yeah.
Something like that?
That would satisfy me.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I'll work on that. I know, because I know that people are cleaning the fish there, we know that. but-
Right. But I'd like to
Yeah.
have something that you and your staff could enforce, and
Right.
not have to be like, yeah, it's okay for you, but you're being really bad about it. And
Right, or
so-
put something that, well, we don't really enforce it, but
Right,
it's there. I
right.
mean, I totally understand that. So I'll work on that. We'll get something for people to use. And then maybe a grant later for a fish cleaning station, we'll see. Won't happen
Okay,
tomorrow.
so I have a question. With all of these proposed changes that you want to have made, and I had made the motion to approve, I'm going to rescind my motion because it seems like there needs to be a lot more work. I had put my utmost faith in our parks manager, that she had gone through these things in and out, and there was reasonings for why she had things the way they were, but I can see that other people have questions and concerns. So I'm rescinding my motion, and whoever supported it can rescind their support.
Well, I would make a motion then that we
I didn't get a rescission of the support.
Who supported?
You did.
Oh, I'll rescind my support. I would make a motion that we approve with the proposed changes. I mean, I trust that she'll make the changes.
We
that-
don't even know what the changes are. She
You're-
says she's working on them, but what
Well,
are
I'll do
they?
them in the morning, but they will address the
Yeah,
verbiage.
she's got a recording.
But she said she was gonna work on things, but she didn't say how she was gonna change them, so. Oh, okay. So we don't get to see the changes.
Well, we can, yeah, I mean, we can say, I'm just making a motion, if no one wants to support it, they don't have to support it, but I made the motion that she has the recording, she knows what needs to change, she said how she's going to change them.
No, she didn't.
I don't have any problem with the changes being made.
Okay.
So, I'm staying by my motion if someone wants to support it. If they don't, then they don't.
Any support? Not hearing no support?
I'm gonna make the motion that the changes are made and brought to the board for the next meeting. For review.
I'll support.
Okay. Discussion?
Will that be enough time for the Park and Rec Board to hear it and also give us their opinion, or are we
Our next
sidestepping
board
the
meeting
Park
is
and Rec
the,
Board?
it's the
May 14th.
Yeah, May 14th, so I think our meeting is
Our
after
next,
that.
our
It's
next
the
meeting
week.
is 5/5.
Yeah, so it's after.
So you guys have to have a special meeting then. Park and Rec.
Well, you can suggest we have a special meeting, but that doesn't mean that we can, because it matters on whether someone can be there or not. We have to
Well,
have a
but,
quorum.
but earlier discussion, it was said that these have to be, or these should be put in place before, the opening of the parks,
Which was May 8th.
which is May 8th.
Yeah, so
So
they
I
won't
would
be, they
suggest
won't be
that you-
anyway, so we can just, without it tonight, and that, you know, it just is what it is. We'll just use the old ones, and that'll be the policies and regulations until these are passed.
So we
favor?
have,
So is
what
it-
do we
is it
have
still
right now?
your-
We have a motion?
It's my motion that the changes are made, brought back to the board for approval.
After the Parks and Rec look at it?
Well, if they can have a meeting, great. If they can't, then they can't. And then it's brought to us for the changes, just like this was happened right now.
So quick question, if I may. So then because we can't make Park and Rec have a meeting. So
Right.
if they don't have a meeting, then we would defer till the next meeting?
Well, no, because they brought these proposed changes to us tonight because they didn't have a quorum at the last meeting, right? So we supersede because we have to be able to, because we'd have the final say anyways. So if they don't have a meeting from now until May 5th, then they come back to us just like they've come back this time, and then we can make the decision on them. But I want to see them.
And for me, I would really like to see Park and Rec go through it.
That I would suggest you call the members of Park and Rec and tell them to have a special meeting.
Or once it comes up, I'll make a motion to defer.
You can do that at May 5th.
Yep, perfect.
So we have a motion?
Yep.
We have support?
Yep.
Any more discussion? No more discussion? I'd like to have a roll call.
Okay.
Commissioner Van Genhoven,
Yes.
Commissioner Jensen,
Yes.
Commissioner Melner,
Yes.
Commissioner Johnson,
Yes.
and Commissioner Williams.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Heather, for your work.
Number 5, financial policies.
Let's go to the book here. 5.
This was very well done.
So. Oh, let's see, chapter 9 here. So say, would you care to lead that off? I know
Sure,
you and
I
Emily
can.
did
Yeah.
a big bulk. of it.
So, the financial policies that are in front of you right now are all, new policies. So we have some financial policies that are in place today. But what we would need to do, and I don't know, have we rescinded them? We haven't rescinded them,
Nope.
correct? Yeah, so we would rescind, previous policies and then put in place these new policies. Some of the language in the policies are based on some of the old policies, but a lot of them were, quite old. We're talking, some of them are typewritten, on a typewriter, in a book and very old. And so they've done, I think Emily and Andrea both have worked diligently on putting these policies together. We've gone through them in the Finance Committee meeting twice and have provided feedback, and that feedback has been incorporated. And so I think this is a great start to our financial policies. You'll notice when you look through there that there are some sections where the policy doesn't quite exist yet, like, for instance, 9.10, which is federal awards, that would be coming. So, the administration will be adding policies as time goes on, but we can at least start putting some of these new policies, updated policies in place.
We wanted to get the ones that we had done out for everybody to review instead of having, I mean, that's chapter 9 in the book. I mean, it still encompass a bunch.
It's also really important for the audit coming up as we start the new audit, having these new rules in place.
Exactly. These are all items that previously we had gotten dinged on in our financial audit, so this will help rectify that. One of the other things that we found out when going through is there were instances where the board decided on a course of action of this is what our policy is gonna be, except it was never written into a policy. It was a phrase and then a copy of the minutes were stapled to it and put in. It was never actually written out as a policy. So this actually puts everything together now.
Move to approve.
Are you going to rescind first?
Oh, move to rescind. Thank you, Nancy.
Do we need a list of the ones we're rescinding, though?
I think it would just be good to clarify that any policies that are listed as new policies, their corresponding old policy would be rescinded.
Okay.
So this would supersede, obviously.
That makes
Moving
sense.
forward.
Made the motion?
I did.
Did you want to?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'll support.
And the only reason I say that is because, like Commissioner Jensen said, we don't have an actual policy name or number on some of those policies,
Right.
so we can't list them accordingly to say we're rescinding them that way.
Correct.
Yeah, this will actually codify those.
So we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion?
No, it's got good bones, so I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, good job on it.
Okay? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion pass.
So that was to rescind. Now I'm going to approve the new ones.
Oh, I thought the motion was, I'm sorry, I just thought the
No,
motion
we
was.
did it step by step. Right? You just have it down as rescission?
Well, rescind any old policies that have a new policy is how you stated it, right?
Mm-hmm. And now we have to approve the new policy.
Okay. Not how I thought it was going to go.
That's, yeah, I thought you kind of made the swap in your motion.
Yes,
Well,
so did
that's
I.
not how it's written. How it's written is that we move to rescind any of the old policies that now have a new one, but we still have to approve the new policies.
Okay.
And
Yeah, because the last I heard, that one was rescind.
Yep.
and-
Okay.
And
So
you had made that motion? Cal?
I move to rescind
Yep.
any of the ones that had
Yep.
new ones.
Right.
Now I'm motioning to approve the new ones.
And I'll support that.
Thank you.
Okay. Any discussion on the new policies? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Okay, we got them both covered.
Yep.
Yes.
Number 6, airport fund balance for FAA requirements.
Move to approve up to 75,000 as recommended by the Finance Committee to hire a Part 139 auditor/coordinator/consultant.
Support.
Okay, any discussion?
Just for clarification, this is going to be coming out of the airport fund balance, not our county general fund. Is that correct, Administrator?
That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 7, we're gonna be putting out till later. So we go to number 8, out-of-county travel, Building Michigan Communities Conference.
Move to approve.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 9, rules of procedure.
So this actually falls in line with the new financial policies. The financial policies refer to a conflict of interest statement that's in the rules of procedure. So this is creating that conflict of interest statement for the rules of procedure.
Move to approve.
Support.
Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 10, Airport Grant Application, Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, AIP.
Besides what's on in your packet, I just want to share some updated news. MDOT did pre-approve for this grant, 2.5%, up to 7,619. This application is going to the FAA, and I'm just seeking approval to sign their grant agreement and then MDOT's grant agreement, because the last time I came up here was for a different grant altogether. So this is a new grant. And then also any of the service contracts that fall within that grant. So the total grant would be for $182,118.76, and then it would be split 95% federal share, 2.5% state, and 2.5% local. It's for the rehab of our taxiway and connectors.
Move to approve.
Support.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 11, Airport Grant Application Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act 11JA. Or is it it's IIJA, sorry.
This grant is for the snow removal equipment building design phase, and then also the airport master plan update. I also just received some new information from MDOT today. They're actually going to be covering the local share also, so we won't have any local obligation for this. The grant total is $1,020,289, and it'll be 95.5 for the federal and the state.
Move approval.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to do number 7 now, so I need a motion to go into closed session.
Neither do I.
Yeah, give me a sec here.
I have it. Hang on,
You have it?
I think it was in our email.
So, I don't have the MIC.
Hang on.
Nancy, can you look that up? Or-
I move that we go into
Try it.
closed session under MCL 15.268 which would be A, to consider the dismissal, suspension, or disciplining of, or to hear complaints or charges brought against, or to consider a periodic personnel evaluation of a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual agent if the named individual requests a closed hearing. An individual requesting a closed hearing may rescind the request at any time, in which case the matter at issue must be considered after the rescission only in open sessions.
I'll support.
Okay, I need roll call.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Vangenhoven.
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
and Melner.
Yes.
You okay?
Oh, sorry. Just
So, interesting, we would have to add some. It makes perfect sense, but our other counties don't have this. Closest one I can think of is countywide operations. And I can think of is Sheffield County. They struggle like this. The only way to fix this is they haven't fixed it yet, they're working on it. You know, going back with each individual one, that is a waste of energy source. It actually can't solve it's gonna be a lot of all of those, including probably some you know, social media is a portion of it. All works. It's just how much. You have to kind of get. And, you know, sometimes I just don't pay attention to it. So, I'm not gonna say this is gonna be the easiest thing to do. There's a high risk, but there's a lot of. I just wanted to say, I appreciate your support. That's to see somebody who has all the stuff do the job. I live with all this My mother died in 2022. We had to take her she couldn't drive anymore. Understand, I should do the same thing with my mother. She had Parkinson's. So I understand what you're saying. You know, it's not that I want to pay all the taxes, but somebody like, one of, I'm gonna probably need to service. Probably not. Fact is, and this doesn't work in Delta County. This piecemeal piece doesn't work. And, we're talking about, for somebody to make $200,000, we're talking about $69 a year. So we're not talking about $7,000 a year, but we waste money on CPS. Not an anti-tax, I think it's very valuable. I'm happy to support and oh, you see, I have my daughter's an EMT, my wife's an EMT, so absolutely, you know what those calls are like, and we can appreciate those. This about me. Well, I appreciate that. If there's a group that needs somebody to answer questions or give a little presentation, I'm happy to do it. Absolutely. No, I'm not trying to convince everybody that they need to see my life. Respect people's views. That's the most risky part. It really is. That's the risky part. It's the risk. We have it. And I don't like that risk portion. So in order to, you can't believe, I mean, you probably can, but the number of calls we get, I think they're in that service, by the bus service, and, they move here, they move on one of the lakes, and now they have to. And, I have to be the person that says, I'm sorry, but there's no service. And so it's really a delicate situation, because, I can't take Baldwin's township money to go spend it in Cornell, so that's some of the challenges that we have in the town. I think there might be people that say, well, geez, we could cut some costs and shave some things. I have one full-time mechanic for 20 people. Challenge, they're not all brand new things. I have one mechanic, and, as far as, how much waste is there to cut? I'll tell you what, when you cut the low-hanging fruit for years, there's not a whole lot of things to cut. I mean, I'm sharing half of my time with another county just to save some costs. Tony, I'm on the board at the school, and we, you're not wrong, and I know some of the other schools are doing similar stuff. That's just it. That's just doubled in price. They doubled in price. With COVID, they doubled. That's part of the reason, when I say, geez, yeah, I can come in less, but what do you want me to cut? As it is, I have supervisor 6 o'clock in the morning, I have dialysis. And I have nobody all that stuff. And so, it's challenging, but we're stretching that. ways and service we are. But you do a great job. I appreciate that. You know, there's at least 50% that support us out there. Will they show up and vote? I don't know. Well, and that's the thing, you gotta get them over your But I'm gonna try. But I appreciate it. I don't know about that. You guys might not want to sit by me after saying. Guys, have you seen any big ice shove out there in the lake? Did you see it on the bay? There's this great big, like, 75-foot tall ice shove out there. It's over off of, like, Garden Flowers, Valentine's out there. It's really neat. You don't see it very often. It's like, oh, but Ben might have moved down. I bet she's moved down because of that salt wind. So, the tug's float at the airport, one that was like this. Like loose floating, so that's a good sign it means the water's up. That means the water's probably up. 2 to 3 feet from last fall. There is. You look at all those yards of stuff water, downstate stuff flooding, right? So, I think this might have saved the day. I mean, I was thinking seriously going, maybe we could get into it. I didn't say anymore. I was busy that day and I probably should have. 6 months, so it doesn't take 6 months, it takes, but it makes sense. As long as it's June to October, okay, but May would be fine too, because you might get a good weekend in there with snow. But I'm really unhappy with what Washington Island, I mean, the rates, like, if you go there for 5 minutes, it's $50. It used to be like $20 to go over there. Now it's like, oh, it's $50 by the way. You gotta be kidding me, we're gonna literally go in there and have lunch and have $50. If you go to Escalade, it's free. Like, you just decide, they said, well, maybe we charge you if it's like, you know, okay. I almost think the association is equal. You just write letters and doing your tourism. Well, if you don't let them know, like, this is unreasonable, we're gonna go. I think we can say, come to support all your businesses. I think you're probably trying to capitalize on the KD and well, they guys. Well, that's fine to name I'll give him a tour now. You know, realize that that project is. Now, think about it, you got a sales force that takes 6 months. That ain't going there, is it? So you guys. That's it. Well, some of those areas. Island. Or you can ride the bus or you can get a taxi. At least you have options. You know, you need to go park. Anyway, so, you know, just a bummer of that. I really, whether some would be yearly, some would be daily, and some would be monthly. I mean, can you imagine what that would change in that area? And, you know, most people don't understand, like, 30 volts is not fun. You can do it. If you're young and stupid, and you can do it, you're gonna get somebody water, it's not that bad. It's not. And then you probably need help with things, you're not mowing in the garden. And you're not mowing in the garden, you're not running home. Just, the way you fish it, you gotta have to purpose it out. No, you can't haul on Friday, you can't haul on, like, holiday weekends, and then you can't haul in the garden. So when are you gonna go? When do you go fishing during the daylight? So I don't know, but I'm, every chance I'm. Now, I have a better idea, but I'm not, I know how it gets done. And that's relationships. In a big case like that, it's much better than that. Well, I mean, if I see water, get some water. There'll be signs. If I win, there'll be signs. Be like, hey, I got room for 10. What do you think? Yeah. There'll be a sign. I won't say on it, but there'll be a sign to get like, what happened? I mean, I'm still not ruling out somebody building on my own property, but. No one's gonna. I love your parents, my friends, you know. Doesn't mean it's. You know, the neighbor's got the perfect place, it's just you park around. Well, I just land right there. Still, when you catch them, they'll be a little hot. It'll be a little soggy, the pump up is great. Absolutely, because you don't have to go through. Yeah. You go straight back to the hospital. That's a really good point, though, it really is, because. You can go one way and come back the other. And that's one of the biggest complaints we have, trash areas. Well, they're coming in parking down there now. I see the same. Oh, yeah, what do you think they're gonna charge for that? Yeah, well, did you see where he got Well, isn't that the other street there, tribal? And coming down, it's fine. My wife's Indian, and, that stuff, right? And it's not like, didn't ask you. Well, I got an answer from Larry. And, somebody got mad at what was there, you mind put a wall light bulb in there? Yeah, I was like, yes. And Larry's like, park on the other side then. We should talk to them. And that one, that other one there, I can't think of his name, it's got, nope, it's full. It's over here. Yeah. I would guess so. I don't know. You like to see the project done. I like to see the whole. So you know, I think it's a whole line yard. Well, there's plenty of those. And the only thing that I think are very careful is now, that has to stay. I don't think we'll see it. If you were running all in 1900 seats. He would been that guy like, no, where are we gonna handle it? Handles are good, no, those poles are gonna be in the way someday. I mean, that's what he's gonna say. I like the idea of it. There's a that goes down there. And realistically, yeah, like I saw a car go by. paying all of those, like I said, so like every third year, they're sequenced. So why don't you pay to be done for TV camera? Let you know if I'm going, you know. The last thing I never do is sell to anybody that's got a telephone. Radio stations. And you're probably telling them a lot. It's a couple of years. So it's pretty fucking all it's like, we have to stand up. It's this thing they have. Oh, she told me the story years ago about they bought it on contract. You know, they are like, so much you guys have this whole thing. So she's got a test set up. And Joel, he fixed it all up on the bottom side. So she's got a lot of, remember, we get this one. She's not even happy. Irrigation on a 3-inch line, Joe got him into the pond. He's the one each morning. They don't call them. Come Monday. That's fine. I'm not gonna let this whole. He said, we got everybody. Because he. Probably when he does, his daughter, and there's. Probably don't want. She'll start smoking. And he was. But you gotta go get to it. So however you figure that out. wouldn't say we're going there, we're going to property. Obviously, some fireworks that start going on the other side. Once you pull that bear, once you pull that bear. It's pretty convenient. I'm gonna pop there. That's the game. But he's got a look on me. Well, I've never met him, but I know that, he sees my dog, son-in-law, and he never sees his dog. He just gets under the video. I know you guys, anybody who's been to me, Jim, he'd be like, this to him, this to him, eventually, nobody did. And so now finish that. And he never straight out.
So, my point is that whoever's that candidate, that's people. So, it's only affected. No. No, it should.
Well, it hasn't, it's adopted. Anybody that's an idiot, you probably shouldn't see it. That is adopted access. Probably what's more likely to do. Yeah, we know what's more likely to do. Probably what puts it a little bit, but like you say, which means you probably better explain there. You probably better explain. Right?
Remember how people spread around there, slowly?
You gotta go talk to everybody, you gotta know where everybody moves better, to be there to go. But like you say, and you probably can't complain if you don't. And. So there's our, still want to wait for this for the stuff. Guys, probably never gonna get in there either, but I'm waiting on that. Yes, that's why I'm waiting to not put his boat in the water. I don't know. I'm not sure, but reading well, so a week ago, I didn't think I was gonna get in there, because I was up there from.
And talking to him, I said, There's 52 and 54. 52 and 54. One's above water, one below water. Yeah, it's the best stuff on the market. I don't know. And it's only, that is the only thing on there. Don't get silicone. That's what I'm saying. It'll be renewed. Let's see. So I got a plan. I'm gonna go out there. Or something. So, at the end of the year, I'm just gonna go down there. I'll probably have $1,000. And then, you know how many cameras I'll probably have and everything else, right? You know they're gonna be there, right? So, what I was gonna do is, we just gotta some stuff across there. Just have to cross a quarter-mile section. You know. You know, when you're going here, all that stuff's gonna be fried. Oh, look at that. Then I'll put them in a vending machine. Right, exactly. You see, that guy. Can you imagine? And the diver guy gets a lot. I mean, if we do it well, we'll have all kinds of everything else with it too. Even if I get to it, what am I gonna do? What are you gonna do? Back up and try and fight it? You're gonna have to have moves. Why with Jeff? We know with Josh. So, yes, June 20th. I gotta get some stuff done by then. If I do, if I sell that 40, you're gonna sell it 220. Sell that. Nelson Allen's trailer. Maybe a couple years ago. It's like concrete, forms, slab on grade, that down there. Heated concrete floor is gonna be off grade for new, icy up to. So it's gonna be off grade, there's power to get there.
system planned out for it. I'm ready to go back and talk to the company that's most of that wood place. And, just research this out, exactly what I want for charging solar, what I want for panels, what I want for batteries, everything. They said, you know, your stuff, I said, well, I want research. So I actually ordered charging solar and shipped the damn thing. It was too good to be true, right? I got shipped the next one, the evil fucker. Got my money back. What's that? Yeah, lithium ions is one way to go now. I'd like to get probably goes like 550 watt panels. And, probably like 2 generators. They're not, they don't make a system that works. No, I know that. Please, for one, you have to have questions. Just don't want to, in the future, everything. You just, yeah, they gotta have a separate system. They gotta have pump flow. They just don't play with this. Yeah, I think they're good. Because that's what no, that's not gonna work. No, I support that seriously. Probably June here, sell that. If it takes me 2, I would like to do it 2, planning for 3. It's gonna take me 2 to get stuff ready. I gotta bring in sand. There's, some of it's brush, so we can, yeah, I just gotta see some big projects and stuff. I have some. I do. Because that's the other thing, the rest of that. Gonna be, well, at least bring it to my field down there because I need, topsoil. So that's part of the challenge. You're in Davis, you need to go to like 4. Davis thinking, you're building sod. Well, filled with sand. What I would do is raise the topsoil off and save it. What I would bring sand. That's where I'm up against. I need like water. Five yards. Five yards. Right. Well, when I did this, but that's serious on plans this year. Cool. I can downsize, I can do a slab on grade. It's gonna have to be 3 machines. I gotta go 2 and all. But, yeah. You probably qualify. You gotta have a place where you can shut the door and you gotta walk now. You gotta walk now. He doesn't have to be a full-size backup, it's gotta be approved for. Because you got. What you're thinking. And that's in gun. So no, that's the serious one. You are gearing up towards that. You can either do epoxy or polish it to look like epoxy. Either way. But you can do either one. Take it up with got it kind of figured out. Right now, no. I need to get another month, I can have another month's case. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe you're trying to wait everybody out. And then right after.
We sell a piece of equipment here that scans that paper. And it'll measure. And then we do control adjustments to the paper based on that. Basis rate, wait for that area of this paper. Bruce, doesn't say what your gauge is. This is how you measure. Some of the other standard distance is my gauge will do this, they buy it. Which gets into account. They're not gonna sell anything else. They where there's trees on our property, by the road, some of our, oh yeah, that's this. And then a year later, there's all of us. Since I got in this role, one thing that came up, I didn't get leadership. Training sessions. So I was invited to speak.
Gina, do you want to come back with us?
As my presentation, but there's a lot more information she gave that day. The first year I did it, the guy that coordinated it, he said, And if you want to down in Midland, and you put on a paper suit, mask, hair mat, little booties, basically a closet. You go in, door locks behind you, the floor. Turn around, 20 seconds. I gotta get my own. Yeah, so, the first knee-jerk response, okay, we gotta make the. Foreign stuff, in there. It's getting nice. It's a lot of clean suits and stuff like that. I did a company in Pennsylvania that was training, also for a higher someone is gonna look at that battery saying. I gotta get rid of this here. Send them to the school and they go through the chemistry and how to make it and all. And we made it happen. They've never seen them made battery. It was a schmuck. Because it's illegal. Build the battery and then they do a destructive test and see how they do. I'm like, the battery look like it's just crazy. Yeah, so that's. You know what? I don't know. I'm gonna try that somewhere in that range. I haven't even kind of looked at what's more. Depends on what you like. But it really, you know, it needs to be. If the government's picking winners with some transportation, this is good for them. There's several seats in there, remember? And really, really make it nice. This is what.
Guess my chair got brought in there.
Motion to come out of executive session?
Support.
All in favor?
Aye. Where no decisions were made.
Yes.
No decisions, you have already said that, so. Let's see here. We can move to general public comment. Any general public comment?
Commissioner, are we going to have the agenda item
Huh?
7?
We have to have the agenda item, John.
Oh,
You have to say
okay,
what we're
sorry.
proposing or what we're
Okay.
recommending.
On the airport, we were going to be doing a restructuring. We're going to hire a airport special ops.
It's our recommendation.
Recommend, yeah.
Recommendation that
Right.
we're going
Yeah,
To restructure.
to restructure.
to restructure. And we're gonna change some positions. That's, anything else?
We need to charge personnel with writing those job descriptions. So I would make a motion to charge personnel with rewriting the job descriptions for the 3 positions.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Hi, do we need to define the description of, I mean, the jobs?
We will.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'd like to make a motion that we restructure our airport to include the addition of an operations specialist who will be in charge of our Part 139 compliance.
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed.
It'd be my recommendation that we change the job title from Assistant Airport Manager to Airport Business Coordinator.
Support. Once the position's filled, correct?
Correct. Once the specialist position is filled.
We got a motion, we got a support. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Anything, we got everything cut?
I think we're good.
Okay.
Should be it.
Now we can go to general public comment.
Sorry, Bob.
Bob Van Dam, Baldwin Township. I want to talk about the proposed solar ordinance that the Planning Commission is working on. We went to the last Planning Commission meeting, and I asked one question, still hasn't been answered. I asked it in both public comment sessions. Is the solar ordinance we have now, which is very working fine, is it going to be done away with, or are these additions to the ordinance? So I'd like to find that out. I was glad to hear Commissioner Johnson say earlier tonight when they were talking about the data bus thing that he believes in local control in bringing industry in. Well, Baldwin Township, the board voted 5-0. Right now, 65% of Baldwin Township's general fund budget comes from the solar project. It's up and running. There's an article in the paper here, I think a couple of Fridays ago, or maybe it was last Friday, about that it is up and running, and we have 3 people there that are working. That is a very underrated count of actually the people that are out there. There's all kinds of local contractors doing road work, cutting grass, maintaining fences and doing things. So there's a lot more than 3. There's 3 that actually stay at the office every day. Now, you talk about bringing industry in. This is an industry that we brought up to St. Nicholas. We fought for 5 years to get a solar ordinance, and if we'd have just left it alone, Baldwin Township would have been zoned out of that project. So our township would lose all the money. And you got to realize, when I look at my tax bill, 8 different times money comes to the county. The county's going to receive hundreds of thousands of dollars. So do we want to add more restrictions to an ordinance that's very workable, working fine, and maybe push a project to a different county? I really don't understand that. And as I said, we were at the Planning Commission. I don't think anybody on the Planning Commission knows what the ordinance is going to state. We were all, it was as clear as mud when we left there. They all had counteracting ideas, and they don't seem like they have really a clue as to what this ordinance is going to be when they're done. And I know they're going to bring it here. And like I say, I just worry, why are we going to add more restrictions to our private property rights? Personally, I have 1/60 of my open land in solar. To me, it isn't solar, it's my private property rights. Thanks.
Any other public comment?
I'm Brian Hero. I'm chair, as these guys know, but for the sake of the public, I'm chair of the Airport Advisory Board. Kind of in the dark of what was going on up until I started hearing things in the last couple days. But it sounds to me like you guys are traveling the path that the advisory board asked in late 2024, which was to create an operational supervisor. My one ask is that the advisory board be provided input in the job descriptions, that it doesn't go off the personnel and something come out without any input from the advisory board. That's all I got.
I know nobody, I want to ask questions, but of course nobody's going to answer, so I guess they're statements. As you can see tonight, at least on the Parks and Rec, why the confusions with the public, okay? And that's why I asked you guys to eventually make the decision who's doing what. I don't think we care. We just need to know where it's going to be. And tonight was a classic example. Because I know through the discussion, you know, Kelly had mentioned they sent it to us. So I put a little thing down, who's they? I've been at every one of those meetings, and what is in the agenda that was passed The Park and Rec, I called a couple, and the Park and Rec Commission never saw that. They didn't send that here. So I'm not quite sure how it got here. I understand now why it got here, because everybody was working on the opening of the park. But, so when they want to, they'll send you something, or somebody will, and then you guys will vote on it, whatever. And then when they don't want to, then they'll be it. So that's what I'm saying. Somebody's got to be in charge, and if they cancel a meeting, then you have another one. We were expecting a meeting right behind it. So what was in the agenda was campground rules. But before, what the Parks and Rec Commission really passed, my understanding was the day use rules. Of course, some of them are in the same park, but that's fine. But I'm guessing then, the day use rules that were passed by the Park Commission still have, not in a campground, but in the day use, firearms are prohibited. That has never been changed, it has never been turned back, and I don't know if we're waiting until the 14th to do that. Then I heard something that I thought was interesting. The Park and Rec Commission bylaws override the Open Meetings Act. Thought that was interesting tonight. So I guess it's just that, but there's some major confusion on who's in charge of what, because at times, it sounds like the Park and Rec Commission's an authority, but not on the budget. And I don't know if that's the truth or not, but that's something all you guys can do. There's different ways to do it, but I think the public needs to know who's who. And if the Park and Rec Commission is doing everything but the budget and the fund balances, then it should have never came to you. They should have had a special meeting or waited till the 14th, I would guess. Unless later on now, though, if you guys do decide, I guess they owe you one, so if you guys ever get anyone you don't like, send it over there. Okay, thanks.
Any other general public comment? Chris, is there anything?
Jeff Malevsky, Nema Township, President of the Fairport Sport Fishing Association. I got a couple things to talk about. First of all, John and the data bus. This is my first time really hearing about the opportunity that data bus could bring to a community. Living in a rural community like Nema, our age demographic is climbing every day, as it is everywhere else in the county, in the state, so the Upper Peninsula in a way. So I think anything that we can do to reach out and help those people, the elderly generation, I think that's a good plan. I know it's a complicated plan, but I think you guys can work through it. That being said, the last Parks and Rec Commission meeting, I got with Heather Leduc, and we had talked about putting together a field trip of the eastern part of the county to tour all of the boat launches on Big Bay Denok, starting with Ogance, Nema, Fish Dam, the Garden Peninsula, or the Garden Bay launch, Fayette, and then Sac Bay. I would like to get everybody out there on a field trip to see what we're talking about firsthand. I would like to get everybody on the Parks and Recs Commission, and then I'd like to invite you to come out there at the same time. I'm not exactly sure how to plan this all out, but in working with Heather, we had thought about working with the commission first, setting up a date with the commission, the Parks and Recs Commission, and then coming to you. But last month, they didn't have a Parks and Recs meeting. So this kind of got put ahead of that. I'm asking you first. In working with John with DataBus, we talked some about maybe DataBus helping us in this project to get people out there. I think it's important to have everybody in the same vehicle, because I think the conversations that can happen between each stop each boat landing is as important as actually looking at the boat landing itself. So that's kind of my idea of having everybody on a bus. And I'm hoping John can elaborate on this a little bit. I think that this project with the 5-year Sac Bay thing is, we're all in agreement that something needs to go forward. We just have to have the steps started. And I think that this little field trip is a good chance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment?
I just want to mention that 10 or 12 years ago, our county board did something similar in viewing the parks. When the parks had gotten to a critical point, our county board took a data bus and went to each of the parks and looked at what was going on in the park. So I think what he's proposing is something similar to that.
Okay.
You know, I'm happy to help you guys out. You know, obviously owe you guys a big favor for, you know, what Emily was able to accomplish for us. And frankly, you know, what you're talking about doing is something that's, you know, helps the whole county. And so, you know, if it's something I can help with, providing for, you know, the rec board and/or the commissioners or both, you know, I think we can easily make that work. And, you know, the cost I'd have into that is nothing compared to what it would have cost me to, you know, bring in excavators for, you know, 3 hours to clear the parking lot this year in an emergency situation. So, you know, you could take that for an offer if you would like, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Any other public comment? Seeing none, we'll go to commissioner comments. Commissioner Kelly.
Yes. First of all, Emily, are you available for a personnel meeting on Thursday at 2 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay, so if we can schedule that, please, so that we have enough time. And then it would be my recommendation after personnel is, or when personnel is doing these job descriptions, that we reach out to Airport Advisory Board member Brad Reed. He sits on the subcommittee, the personnel subcommittee for the Airport Advisory Board. And so if he would like to come to that personnel meeting, if he's available. And then after personnel restructures these job description, I would highly recommend a joint meeting of the Airport Advisory Board and the Board of Commissioners so that we can discuss this reconfiguration of our airport and the duties of the Airport Advisory Board moving forward so that we're all on the same page. So let's try and schedule that out before, you know, our next regular board meeting if we can. Can everybody pull out their calendars and see if there's a date that works for everybody?
Commissioner Johnson.
No comment.
Commissioner Jensen, no comment tonight. Commissioner Williams.
No, thank you.
And I have no comments myself. Meeting schedule, finance meeting, let's see, 4/23/26 at 9 o'clock at the courthouse, room 222. Regular Board of Commissioners meeting at 5/26 at 5:15, right here at the Service Center. 30-day notice of appointment, there's an opening for Departmental Human Services, one state and one county. Building Authority, Brownfield Development Authority, and there's a new one, Pathways. We are looking for a person from Delta County to go on the Pathways Board. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.